My name is Jack. For some backstory, I'm a pilot for the US Air Force. A guy I know named Alan told me about this page, so I decided to tell my encounter with a UFO. The story takes place in 2020 in northern Alaska. I'm stationed at Eldenorf Air Force Base, to be exact, about 30 miles away from Anchorage. I've been stationed here for nearly 2 years. I fly an F-22 Raptor. Most people will say the best aircraft to ever exist, which is true. Other than the occasional interception of Russian bombers here once every few months, nothing really happens. I love that it's peaceful here. No stories constantly, no mandatory PT times, good food, or real nice people, and cold weather. I've always been a person to like cold weather. I have my own apartment basically on the base. It was a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. It had a kitchen and a dining room too. It's a nice little home close by to the hangars, just in case I do have to sortie. My wingman had an apartment right next to mine, since both our jets were right next to each other in the hangar. Me and my wingman, Braxton, are really close. We've been best friends for 7 years. He has a really nice family, 2 kids, a wife. His life is perfect. I was his best man at his wedding, and I was even there for his firstborn. He is the closest thing I'll ever have to a brother. The story starts a day before the incident. Birds begin chirping as I begin to wake up. My door unlocks as Braxton walks in. "Good morning, Jack. You ready to get some good PT in?" "Ah, God, Braxton. I'll be out in 5 minutes. Wait for me by the exit. After we do this, you want to get some food?" he asked. "Yeah, of course. Knowing me, I'll be starving." "Alright, I'm gonna head down. Alright, I'll be down in 5. Copy that, sir." As he saluted me in a joking way, I chuckled as he walked away. I put on my work clothes and walked out to meet him at the exit. "Ah, took you long enough," he said. "Shut up, let's go." We jogged about 3 miles together around the base before we went back to grab some food. "It's 12 p.m., earlier than usual," said Braxton. "Yeah, man, that means we can get some food earlier than usual." "What's your wife fixing for breakfast today?" I asked. "Pancakes and bacon. This is gonna be a good meal," I said. We walked in his apartment, which was much larger than mine. I was greeted by his kids. I said hi to them all, and said hi to his wife, and sat down and began to dig in. After I finished eating, I got up and said thank you to his wife. "I'll talk to you later, Braxton. See you later, man." I walked out and closed the door behind me. I walked over to my apartment and unlocked the door and walked in. I sat down on my couch and grabbed my Xbox controller and began to play some Xbox. After about 3 hours of playing Xbox and watching movies, I got up and went to my kitchen to cook me some toast and butter. It was around 4 p.m., so around time for lunch. I fixed myself a bologna sandwich and got back on Xbox. Around 7, I got up and fixed me some chicken for dinner. After dinner, I went to lay down and watch some movies on my bed. After 2 hours of watching Criminal Minds, I fell asleep. I was awoken by an alarm from the base. My door burst open and Braxton screams. Command says radar is picking up an unidentified aircraft on radar about 700 miles out. I jumped out of bed and quickly put my flight suit on. "Let's go, Braxton." Me and Braxton ran down to our hangar. The ground crew was inside loading up our F-22s with AIM-120 Sparrows and AIM-6X Sidewinders. "This definitely isn't a drill," I screamed. "Yeah, you don't say." I ran to the side of my jet and put my helmet on. I got onto the ladder and got into the cockpit. The canopy closed, and the ground crew began towing me and Braxton out of the hangar. "Strider 1 and Strider 2, you're moving 700 miles north to intercept unknown aircrafts. We have no clue what it is, and we know it's not civilian or US aircraft, so you have permission to engage. We've tried to make contact, but we have received no response," said the control tower. "Copy that," me and Braxton said. "Strider 1's weapons check." "All weapons good," I said. "Strider 2, weapons check." "All weapons good." "Strider 1, you're clear to taxi." Copy that. I moved my F-22 to the runway and pushed my engine power to max. My jet rushed down the runway until I got airborne. Strider 1 altitude restriction lifted from up with Strider 2 at 10,000 feet. I began increasing altitude till I got to 10,000 feet and maintained speed of 500 miles per hour. Strider 1, this is Strider 2, forming up on your left wing. Copy that, Strider 2. I looked out my cockpit and saw him pulling up on my left. Alright, Braxton increased speed to 1,200 miles per hour so we can catch up with this thing. Copy, Jack. I looked back and watched me and Jack break the sound barriers. Both our speeds began increasing up to 1,200 miles per hour. Hey, Braxton, look at your radar. We're picking it up. It's about 534 miles away. We'll be there in about 45 minutes. Yeah, I see it. It's going pretty slow for a plane. Could it be a helicopter? Said Braxton. I don't know about that. They would have responded, and if it's Russian, we would have detected them crossing the Bering Strait. Yeah, I know, something strange is happening, and I don't like it. It's also pretty weird that Command gave us a kill on sight order. Something must be up, I said. Alright, well, we're about 290 miles away, so it won't be long till we reach lock-on distance, Braxton said over the radio. Alright, once we hit 120 miles away from target, aim your AIM-120 Abrams, I said to Braxton. Copy that, he replied. Our Raptors are flying at around 20,000 feet in pure darkness. The only way we could see is with our helmet night vision. 150 miles away. Copy that, Strider 2, I said. Our jets tear through the skies, heading towards the unknown aircraft. As we flew closer, I looked at the radar as we hit 130. Within 30 seconds, we hit the 125 mark. I flipped the switch and armed my AIM-120 Abrams. Alright, Braxton, once we secure a radar lock, open fire. Copy that. I got a radar lock. I looked at my control panel and flipped the switch. Opened the missile bay, firing. I fired 2 AIM-120 Abrams at the unknown aircraft. I saw my missiles tear through the sky at Mach 4 until I couldn't see them anymore. Shortly after, I heard on comms. I got the lock firing as I watched his missiles tear through the sky. Continue flying until you can confirm the unknown aircraft has been downed, said Command. This is Strider 1, copy that. This is Strider 2, copy. Me and Braxton waited anxiously as we watched our missiles on radar close in on the aircraft. We watched as the missiles got closer and closer until the missiles disappeared. I watched as the unknown aircraft didn't disappear off the radar. Did we miss? Asked Braxton. If those missed, we're not dealing with no helicopter. Do you still have radar locked? Asked Braxton. Yes, I do. Let's fire the remaining AIM-120s, and if that doesn't work, then we'll move in closer and use the 9Xs. Copy that, Jack. Firing. I said. My missile bay doors opened as the last 2 AIM-120s launched. Seconds later, Braxton did the same. We watched our missiles go through the sky on our radar until they disappeared just like the ones before. Our distance was about 65 miles away from the target. We are closing in on target. We'll be there in about 15 minutes, said Braxton. Arm your AIM-9s. AIM-9s armed. At this point, I can tell Braxton was nervous, and so was I. I didn't know what I was dealing with. As we closed in, I realized the unknown aircraft is decreasing its altitude. Is it going down? I asked. It might be, I don't know. It's going down rapidly. Decrease throttle and go into dive to try to receive a lock, I said. Copy that. I pushed up on the stick as my aircraft began to dive. We both got into a steep dive towards the target until I received a radar lock. I got a lock firing sidewinders. I said. My side missiles bay doors opened as I fired 2 sidewinders at the target. I watched as Braxton did the same. I watched our missiles soar through the sky, heading towards the target. But this time I saw the missiles explode. I watched as the aircraft continued to descend in altitude. I descended speeds about 500 miles per hour as I tried to descend altitude to 5,000 feet. As soon as I went underneath the clouds, I saw something that I'll never forget. My blood went cold and my body went numb. I saw a giant saucer in flames slowly decreasing altitude. "Oh my god," I said fearfully. What is that?" said Braxton. "I don't know." My hands were shaking at the sight. There were many small explosions on the ship while it slowly went down. "Jack, look," screamed Braxton at 5 pods launching from the saucer. Jesus Christ," I screamed. As pure adrenaline and instinct kicked in, all 5 pods began charging me and Braxton. Evasive maneuvers, Braxton screamed as me and him both began evading the pods that went past us. I looked behind me and realized the pods were coming back around. I pulled in a 180-degree turn to face my aircraft at the pods. The G's were hard on my body, but the adrenaline was in full control. The pods began shooting projectiles at my jet. I realized this and barrel rolled over my right, lining my 20mm gun up with one of the pods. I pulled the trigger and watched as my bullets tore the pod apart. "Got one," I screamed nervously. "Jack, I got one. My tail. I need your help," said Braxton in an absolutely terrified voice. "Copy that. I'm coming around." I pulled a 90-degree turn and sped up to reach Braxton's location. I saw him about 5 miles out. I pushed the throttle up to max and sped up to get the pod's tail. As I got close, I decreased speed a little and got on its tail. The pod had a small engine emitting a blue light out of the back of it. The blue light exposed the weapon on the bottom that was trying to shoot down my wingman. "Alright, I'm on his tail, thank God. Get him off of me," Braxton said fearfully. "Turn left on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." I matched his jet turn left, and pod went straight into my crosshairs. I pulled the trigger and watched the pod explode midair and fall down to the ground. "2 more coming up front," Braxton said. I watched as the 2 pods closed in fast. I pulled a 25% turn and angled my jet towards the pods. I pulled the trigger at the pod and watched the 3rd pod explode. "Another one down," I screamed. "Got one," screamed Braxton. "Strider Squadron, good work. Attempted to ground the main target and eliminated any other threats. Remaining forces are on the way. This is Strider 1, command. What's the ETA on those reinforcements?" 15 minutes, they said. "Copy," Braxton formed up on my left wing. "Let's move to engage." I said, "Copy that, Jack." I looked at my radar and began moving to the location of the main aircraft. About 3 minutes go by, and we have arrived. The aircraft was a saucer that was leaning downwards on its front side. The ship was in flames, and the front was opened up and tore apart. The ship had 4 massive engines. Only 2 were active. The front 2 were down, and the other 2 were the only things allowing it to slowly decrease in altitude. "Jesus Christ," I said. "Come on, Jack, we have a mission to do. We need to take this thing down," Braxton said nervously. "Target the right engine, and I'll target the left." "Copy that." I moved my aircraft into position to fire on the aircraft. As soon as I got a clear shot, I opened fire with my 22mm cannons. After firing on it for 2 seconds, the engine exploded, and the ship began flailing rapidly. Not even 30 seconds later, the saucer crashes into the snow and explodes. "This is Strider 1, target is down, sending the coordinates." "Copy that, Strider 1, good work. Cover the area until reinforcements arrive." "Copy that." I decreased altitude to 3,000 feet and watched as I flew by the downed ship that was in rubbles and flames. Jesus Christ, man, what just happened? "I don't know, man, I really don't." We patrolled the area for about 15 minutes till we got the all clear to return to base. It took us about 45 minutes to return. Strider 1 and 2. When you land, report to my office immediately. Copy that, me and Braxton said. Braxton decreased altitude and landed his F-22 on the airstrip safely and backed it into the hangar. After he was off the runway, I went in for landing. I deployed my air brakes, decreased throttle and altitude until I was about 450 feet up and going 250 miles per hour when I deployed my landing gear and landed safely. The ground crew escorted my jet to its hangar and backed it in. As soon as I got out of the jet, 3 guys in full black suits came up to me. "The commander wants to see you," one of them said, as I began walking over to the commander's office. The commander sat us down and began talking to us. "No one except for higher-ups will know about this. If someone leaks intel, you'll be punished. Here are 2 non-disclosure agreements. Sign them, or we will force you to sign them." I looked up and said, "Okay, sir." As I began to sign the papers, my hands were shaking the entire time after that. Braxton also signed, and we both sat up. "Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your support, and get some rest," the commander said. Me and Braxton both went back to our apartments, and when I walked in, I got on my bed and just thought about what had happened that day. This is something I will never forget. Hey guys, thank you for listening to today's creepypasta, and I hope you enjoyed. I do have a true crime podcast called The Murder House Radio Show. Check it out. The link will be in the description below. It is a true crime podcast. But if you did like, comment, subscribe, and share for more. Hit the bell notification when you subscribe and select all to get all notifications whenever I upload. I upload 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, at least 1 video a day. Now, all the long episodes and full series of creepypastas are on all major podcasting platforms under the name deadly_zone_narrations. There will also be a link for it in the description. Also, go follow all the social media accounts. They are in the description below. I do have a subreddit called Deadly Narrations. The link will be in the description. Also in the description below are the sources to the creepypasta and the music used, so go check those out. Let me know what creepypasta you'd like to hear next, or if you have your own you'd like me to narrate. Or if you have a creepypasta series you would like to hear, send them to me on any of the social medias in the DMs, or to my email address, which is also in the description, or leave them in the comments below. Also in the description below is the author's social medias if they have any listed. But that's it for today's creepypasta. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time in the Deadly Zone, stay deadly and stay spooky.